so let me tell you just.
I think I have the PDF workbook. You can tell me which page, I can check it.
Okay, page 12.
Okay, let's see. Page 12. Okay, so this is the student book. Okay, so I'm just going to share the screen so you can see what I'm looking at. Page 12, you said, right?
Yeah, page 12.
Okay, so
yeah, this is the one.
Page 12. This is 9. This is 10, 11, I think. Is it lesson 2C?
Let me check that.
Yeah.
2B.
Yeah, 2B. This one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Which exercise?
Exercise number 3.5.
Number 3.5. The one with long hours?
Yeah, with long hours, the answer should be, I am working long hours at the moment, so I'm not eating properly. Okay?
Okay.
So at section C, they are asking you to make the sentences in category. So you have 2 places in front of each category. For A, happening, you have to write to match the sentences that express this meaning when, or this use. When the present continuous happening at the moment of speaking. Okay. It's 2 and 4. Number 2 and number 4. But for the second, the point B, temporary and happening around now. For the first time, I thought it was number 4. But when I checked the key answer, I found it was they meant number 5. So how number 5, temporary and happening around now, while they are saying long hours at the moment? There's a time phrase here, at the moment. So how can it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, I get your question. I think you do have a point. Yes, it's a little bit confusing. Yes, but here in number 5, when they used I'm working long hours at the moment. At the moment it's not literal here. They don't mean at the moment literally. They mean it in a more figurative way. Because when you say I'm working long hours, they
mean these days.
Yeah, these days. It means this job currently, maybe because of the corona pandemic, or maybe for whatever reason, there's a bit of a change. So he's working more than usual. That's why that's why we're using present continuous, because this is not how he usually works. When he says I'm working long hours at the moment, so there's been some recent change. That's why this is temporary. Maybe he'll return back to his regular working hours, but now they're long hours. So I'm not eating properly. So when he says I'm not eating, he doesn't mean this moment while he's speaking or talking on the phone or whatever. It's around now. Now the key the key to tell us, or the key that makes us decide that number 4 is something happening right now, is how it started. That smells good. So the person is responding to something he's smelling now. So it's not around now, it's right now, because he smelled it and now he's speaking. That's why it's right now, at the moment.
Number 4,
of
it's
speaking.
clear, but I'm just a little bit confused about.
So only 5.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 here at the moment. They don't mean it literally at the moment. It's like figuratively, around now. He's talking about this change. Yes.
Thank you. And if you can see the article.
Okay.
The last 2 lines.
The one part B, right?
Part B, yeah, number 4.
Let's check the last 2 lines.
Yeah, the last 2 lines. They say, "Do you?"
This one?
No, in the article. No, in the article.
You
not
mean student book? Is it student book?
No, a workbook.
Okay, number 4A.
Yeah, number 4A. And the last 2, she asked, "Do you feel?" Or you have to choose the correct verb here. Okay. Do you feel, or are you feeling hungry yet? So how could you use feel as long as it's state verb as ing, as this in this form? Are you feeling hungry yet? What's the meaning that it's conveying now?
It means here also when someone asks you this question, it means they're basing this question upon some recent change, because all of the article before this question, it's all telling you how good the street food is, right? So they're like showing you, oh, it's tasty, it's fresh, you can try this, the smell is amazing, it's cheap, it's clean. They're like giving you all kinds of food temptations, like this food is amazing. So it's like a sort of it's not a joke, but it's a question related to this change, this information that you've just heard, or that information that you've just read. So they're telling you, are you feeling hungry yet? So after all this information, are you feeling hungry yet? Do you get the idea?
So you can use feel as feeling.
Correct, you can.
How are you feeling? You can say, how are you feeling?
Yeah, how are you feeling now? How do you feel? How are you feeling now? Usually it has a bit of a difference. It's like the difference between think and thinking. So when you say I'm thinking about moving to Europe. So here thinking is a kind of deciding. It has a deciding meaning. I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking about it. I'm weighing cons and pros. But when you say, I think moving to Europe is a good idea. So here, I think now it's an opinion. You see, think and thinking aren't exactly the same meaning. The same thing here with feel and feeling. When you ask someone, how are you feeling? Here, there's some kind of, you know that there's been a change. So when you use the continuous, you know that something has been different, or something changed before you ask the question.
You can simply ask, how do you feel? Even if there's something has been changed.
Correct. How do you feel is, but how are you feeling today is better. For example, if you go to a doctor and you went yesterday, and today, or maybe after 2 or 3 days, you have another visit, okay? So you have another appointment. So the doctor might ask you, how are you feeling today? So he wants to know, is there a change in your feeling from last time or not? You get the idea?
Yeah.
So here in this sense, it's only because there's been some kind of change. How are you feeling? It's not a general question. It's not like, how do you feel? Because how do you feel, sometimes it can mean an opinion, by the way. If I ask you, how do you feel about having a picnic tomorrow? How do you feel about that? It's like I'm asking, what do you think about that? Do you think it's a good idea? So sometimes it depends on how you use it here.
Yeah.
And it's also a little bit figurative, I think. It's because they don't mean it maybe literally, are you hungry yet? So it's kind of they're checking if all this information changed your opinion or not.
Okay, I can see now. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other points?
Most of them are easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Yeah. Okay, that's great news that you've been doing it. I think it's a very good idea that you bought the book. Okay. I think we can go back. I remember the last thing we talked about was a similar exercise to the one you just asked me about when we were doing this one, number 6, if you remember. I think we finished number 6, the one about Steve's blog when he went to LA. So we finished this exercise. Let me just change the page display.
Yeah.
All right. So we did this one. After this,
to see, we should start to see.
Yeah, because everything else is done here. Do you see this? It's repeated again, this question. Are you feeling hungry now? You see it?
Sure.
Says here, number 8.1.
Number 8, yeah.
Yeah, and in 2, here in 2B, are you feeling hungry now? All right. Okay, so we can move to C. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about sleep in this. So we're going to change from food. We'll also talk about gradable and strong adjectives. We will see what each one means. What's the difference between a gradable adjective and what's a strong adjective. And also we have a few exercises revolving around, I think, listening and reading. Okay, so let's start with the vocab part. So here in number 1.
What's the meaning of gradable adjectives?
Good idea. A good question. Gradable adjective is an adjective which can increase in intensity, like this one. Let me show you an example of a gradable. Do you see this table?
Yeah.
In number 7. So a gradable adjective is an adjective which you can say very. So I can say good, or I can say very good, right? So here, very good is higher in grade than good. But if I say brilliant, I cannot say very brilliant. You can't put very with a strong adjective. You get the idea? Because it's already strong. I can't grade it anymore. So this is the idea.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful.
All right, good. So here, let's do a little bit of vocab. I think you know all of these words. There isn't something new, but let's very quickly. Can you read this? Can you read them? Or can you read them? These ones here in number 1, just so we can see. Go ahead.
Fall asleep, wake up, get back to sleep, be wide awake, be fast asleep, snore, have trouble sleeping, have insomnia, take a sleeping pill, have a dream, have a nightmare, be a light or heavy sleeper, have a nap.
Okay. Any of these expressions or phrases, any of them new? I think you know all of these.
Yeah, I searched the insomnia on the dictionary, in the dictionary, and I knew its meaning. It was just new word.
It was the only new word.
The only, yeah.
Can you explain it in English, insomnia, without translating it?
Insomnia, lacking of deep sleep, or you can sleepless. And I think wakefulness or something.
Okay, I think I like the word sleeplessness. This is exactly what insomnia is. It's inability to sleep. It means you can't sleep. You're having a difficulty. It's difficult to sleep. Okay, so we don't need to go to the vocab part because you know all of them, so we can move on. Okay, let's move on. Number 2A, it says choose 5 words or phrases that are connected to you or people you know, and then take turns and talk about phrases you chose. Okay, so here, choose 5 random words here. 5 of these words which you think you can talk a little bit about them, or maybe they are relevant to your experience or your life. You could choose any 5 of these.
Okay. I will choose light sleeper. My husband, because my husband is considered a light sleeper. He can't sleep deeply. And about insomnia, one of my sisters have insomnia for many years now. Have had insomnia for many years, where she can't sleep at night, sometimes at all. Sometimes she still wake up for 2 days.
Did she visit a doctor? Did she go to a doctor?
Actually, no, he didn't, because she used to it, and sometimes after, especially in her vacation, she can't sleep. She's doing most of her activities at night, so day by day she have insomnia.
But does she sleep during the day?
Yeah, she sleeps during the day. Yeah.
Okay. I think here, if someone sleeps during the day and is awake at night, we usually don't say insomnia. Maybe you can say this person is a night owl. They use an expression, night owl. I don't know if you've heard of this expression.
So she's a night owl.
Yeah, it means someone who's usually awake at night and sleeps during the day. But these people are, I think it's normal, it's natural. They don't have a problem. It's just how they function. They prefer being awake at night. But insomnia is a dangerous situation where a person cannot sleep at all, day or night. They have a problem. They can't fall asleep. Do you get the idea?
Yeah.
So it's usually something, maybe stress, maybe depression, maybe a pain. If you have a bad back, maybe your back hurts a lot, or maybe you have rheumatism, or maybe you've got some medical condition that prevents you from sleeping at all. So this is usually insomnia. All right, I think that's good. That's interesting. What about sleeping pills? What's your opinion on sleeping pills? How do you feel about them?
Sleeping pills. I think it's one of the proposed solutions for having insomnia.
You're right. I think they're used for people who have insomnia. Do you think they work well? Do you think they're effective?
In some doses, yeah, I think they're effective. But for pills that you can get from the drugstore, I don't think in small doses. I don't think it's really effective for people who has critical one or.
Yeah, you mean people who have severe insomnia? Maybe maybe the normal ones or over the counter. Here in English, there's an expression. Let me write it for you. Anything you can buy without a prescription from a drugstore or from a pharmacy, they sometimes in English use this expression. They say over the counter. I don't know if you've heard of it. They sometimes OTC, they use an abbreviation, OTC. Over the counter, it means you don't need a doctor's prescription. Here in Libya, almost everything is OTC.
Yeah,
even antibiotics. Yeah, which is dangerous. But in the rest of the world, no. In the rest of the world, the only things which are OTC are like ibuprofen, Panadol, vitamin C, you know, these things, you can buy them OTC. But sleeping pills, they're very difficult to, you cannot buy them over the counter, because if they're mixed with alcohol, they can kill. They can be deadly. So
how dangerous.
you need a doctor to write sleeping pills. All right, okay. So now we will do a little bit of listening, and I think we'll learn a little more about sleep and sleeping and some of the interesting things about sleep. So it says here, work in pairs. Look at these sentences about sleep, okay? Try to choose the correct words or numbers. So here we have a bit of a guessing exercise first. We're not really sure, but we're going to give it our best guesses, and then we can confirm it from the listening track. Yeah,
okay.
And the track is actually an interesting TV interview with a sleep scientist. So let's start our guessing first, okay? So you can start with number 1.
Tiredness causes more less than half of all road accidents in the USA. I would say causes more than half.
Okay, let's try to guess.
Than half of all road accidents in the USA.
Okay.
Okay, now 10%, 30% of people in the UK have problems getting to sleep or staying asleep. I will say 30%, because 10% is, I'll try 30%.
Okay.
Nowadays, people are sleeping 90 minutes less than they did 100 years ago. Let's say 90 minutes. Teenagers need less sleep than adults need more. Teenagers naturally wake up 2-3 hours later than adults. Let's say 2.
Okay.
We use the same amount of energy when we are asleep compared to when we are resting. We use less for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's all.
All right. So let's listen to the interview. Let's see how many of these are correct. What do you think? How many do you think will be correct?
70% maybe?
That's I think that's about right. Maybe more. I think maybe even more. Let's see. Okay, so how many tracks? Which track? Sorry, which track is this? It's track 14.
13.
Is it 13 or 14?
13. Did you want 13? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 13. Yeah. Because I saw the wrong exercise. It's 13. You're 13. Right. Okay, so let's go to track 13. Let me just click this. So now you should hear it.
Track 13.
Is it clear?
How many people do you know who have trouble sleeping at night? For many of us, insomnia is part of life, and not being able to get to sleep isn't just annoying, it can also be very dangerous.
Yes, and with us today is sleep scientist Dr. Angela Moore. Welcome to the programme. Thank you. Dr. Moore, how much of a problem is this, do you think?
Well, we know tiredness can cause accidents. More than 50% of road accidents in the USA are because of people driving when they're tired.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And when you think 30% of people in the UK can have problems getting to sleep or staying asleep, and 10% have serious insomnia, that's a lot of accidents waiting to happen.
So, how much sleep do you think people are getting these days?
Well, 100 years ago, before electricity, people went to sleep when it got dark and woke up when it got light. But now in our 24-hour society, we sleep about an hour and a half less than we did a century ago.
Well, I've got 2 teenagers and no one can say they're sleeping less.
I'm sure a lot of parents would say that. Actually, scientists now believe teenagers need about an hour more sleep than adults.
Really?
Yes, it's because their bodies are still growing. Of course, teenagers don't need as much sleep as babies and small children. They need the most sleep. It's actually older people who generally need the least amount of sleep.
That's very interesting.
Yes, and another interesting thing about teenagers is their body clock is different. So they naturally want to go to bed and wake up about 2 hours later than adults.
So that's why our children aren't very bright in the morning.
And because they have to get up early for school, this means they can feel exhausted when they get there. Recently, a school in the north of England decided to start lessons at 10 rather than 9. With a later starting time, fewer students missed school, and the exam results in English and maths were much better than the previous year.
So, do you think all schools should start later?
Well, that's certainly what a lot of sleep experts think nowadays.
So, why do we need sleep?
We don't really know. Scientists used to think sleep was the only time you had complete rest. But in fact, we use about the same amount of energy when we're asleep as when we're sitting on the sofa relaxing.
Really? That's very surprising.
Yes, and our brains are very active for some of the time we're asleep. Apparently, that's when our brains can organise information they've collected during the day.
Well, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. Thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure.
Okay. So we have a surprising result, right? The last one.
Yeah. Yeah, the last one.
Yeah.
All
So
of were correct, but the last one, yeah, we use the same amount of energy when we are asleep. Yeah.
yeah, that's a surprising fact, I think. And also because most of us usually think that with sleeping, it's more about saving energy, or
Yeah.
we usually think of it as an energy saving or an energy generating mechanism. But it seems, according to the scientist here, she said it's our brains are quite active, some areas of our brain, not all of them, when we go to sleep. All right, so here we have some of
That's really interesting.
It is, yes, I agree. All right, I think there's probably a follow-up question because there is lots of information. So let's see the follow-up question here in number 4. Okay, let's see if we can answer this part, and if we need to repeat it, we can, but if we can answer it without repeating the track, that would be good, I guess.
Yeah.
So the first question, how many British people have serious insomnia? What do you remember from the track?
50%. Yes.
Okay, so you heard 50%. Let's write your answer, and then we can confirm it with the track later. Okay, what about the second question?
Our sleeping habits different 100 years ago. 100 years ago, people used to sleep at the sunset and follow up with the sunrise. Or
You're right. She said people used to sleep when it's dark and wake up when it's bright.
yeah,
So exactly what you said. So sleep when it's dark and when, I think we need to write under it, when it's dark and wake up when it's light. Okay. What about who needs the least amount of sleep?
I can't remember, but I know who needs the biggest amount. Children, then teenager, then adults. Maybe adults, least amount of sleep.
Okay, let's write that.
I'm not sure, but let's say it's They are adults. So.
What about the school here in the study that started lessons an hour later? What happened to it?
An hour later, when British school started lessons, 1 hour later. That was very effective for math exams or English or something related to science.
So there was something about maths
Yeah,
and English, right?
Yeah.
What about maths and English? What do you remember?
I think that that had a good impact on the student is productivity of the students.
So okay, so maybe better student productivity or better marks or grades, maybe. Okay. What about number 5? What do our brains do when we're asleep?
Reorganize the information or the data that it has been collected during the day.
Okay, so organize information. Let's see if these are right.
And rest.
And also rest. Okay, let's check. Let's confirm these answers. And let's see if there's...
Track 13.
How many people do you know who have trouble sleeping at night? For many of us, insomnia is part of life, and not being able to get to sleep isn't just annoying, it can also be very dangerous.
Yes, and with us today is sleep scientist Dr. Angela Moore. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Dr. Moore, how much of a problem is this, do you think?
Well, we know tiredness can cause accidents. More than 50% of road accidents in the USA are because of people driving when they're tired.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And when you think 30% of people in the UK can have problems getting to sleep or staying asleep, and 10% have serious insomnia, that's a lot of accidents waiting to happen.
So, how much sleep do you think people are getting these days?
Well, 100 years ago, before electricity, people went to sleep when it got dark and woke up when it got light. But now in our 24-hour society, we sleep about an hour and a half less than we did a century ago.
Well, I've got 2 teenagers and no one can say they're sleeping less.
I'm sure a lot of parents would say that. Actually, scientists now believe teenagers need about an hour more sleep than adults.
Really?
Yes, it's because their bodies are still growing. Of course, teenagers don't need as much sleep as babies and small children. They need the most sleep. It's actually older people who generally need the least amount of sleep.
That's very interesting.
Yes, and another interesting thing about teenagers is their body clock is different. So they naturally want to go to bed and wake up about 2 hours later than adults.
So that's why our children aren't very bright in the morning.
And because they have to get up early for school, this means they can feel exhausted when they get there. Recently, a school in the north of England decided to start lessons at 10 rather than 9. With a later starting time, fewer students missed school, and the exam results in English and maths were much better than the previous year.
So, do you think all schools should start later?
Well, that's certainly what a lot of sleep experts think nowadays.
So, why do we need sleep?
We don't really know. Scientists used to think sleep was the only time you had complete rest. But in fact, we use about the same amount of energy when we're asleep as when we're sitting on the sofa relaxing.
Really? That's very surprising.
Yes, and our brains are very active for some of the time we're asleep. Apparently, that's when our brains can organise information they've collected during the day.
Well, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. Thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure.
Well, for first question, it was 30%, not 50%.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Because she said 50% had an accident because they are road accident, 50% of road accident.
That's
But-
right.
Yeah, but for the insomnia and people who can't sleep well, I remember it was 30%.
She did mention 30, but was it about a serious insomnia or something else?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll repeat only the first part. Here it is.
Track
Isn't just annoying, it can also be very dangerous.
Yes, and with us today is sleep scientist Dr.
Well, we know tiredness can cause accidents. More than 50% of road accidents in the USA are because of people driving when they're tired.
Okay, so this is the first part, the 50%.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And when you think 30% of people in the UK can have problems getting to sleep or staying asleep, and 10% have serious insomnia, that's a lot of accidents waiting to happen.
10%.
Yes.
10%, yeah.
Okay. Here, actually, this kind of question it reminded me of the IELTS listening. The IELTS listening, this is what they always do. They trick you. They give you more than one numbers in the story, and the story moves on to get the idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, and what's even worse is,
Very optimistic.
yeah, and what's even worse, there is no repeat like now. It's gone.
Yeah.
They play it once and it's gone. But that's why I didn't want to give you the answer now, because I knew you could get it. You just need to pay a little. And of course, because usually in listening they divide the exercise. The first one was listening to gist or general listening, and this one is listening to detail.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's 10. Very good. And I think number 2, your answer was correct. People slept in the past before electricity. They slept when it was dark and they woke up when it was bright.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, what about number 3?
Old people.
Exactly, that's it.
Old people.
So old people are the ones who need the least amount of sleep. And I think if you pay attention, you might notice this. They're always awake. The first ones who are awake usually are the old people.
Yeah.
So maybe that's true. All right. Yeah. And number 4, I think your answer was correct. The one about better grades. You said better productivity. They had much better results. And number 5 is correct. All right, so now we've done this exercise, we can move on. Okay, so here we have a little bit of weak forms. We don't want to waste too much time on this, but I think we can just do the first question here. Listen to the strong and the weak forms of these words. Do we usually say, I think this is the question one. Do we usually say these words in their strong or weak forms? So of course you know the strong form and you know the weak form. So the strong form is when you say the word normally, like do, you, at, right? But the weak form is usually in the middle of the sentence, and it's unstressed because it has this schwa sound. If it has a schwa sound, it's not stressed, of course. So instead of do, it will be d. Instead of you, it will be y. Instead of at, it will be at, right? So these things, they come in the middle. So the question now is, which one is more common? Is the strong form more common, or is the weak form more common? In your opinion?
Well, I think the weak.
You're right. The weak is more common, actually, yes. Because unless it's in a question, for example, do you like chocolate? So here, do is do. Or if it's a yes, no answer. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You'll use it in the full form, in the strong form. But other than that, it's usually, or if it's a main verb. I do exercise every weekend. I do exercise. It's in the strong form. Otherwise, it's not. All right? So we don't need to really listen to them. Look at these sentences from the beginning of the interview. Which words do you hear as weak forms? Okay, so the interview that we just heard, the one about sleep, this is how it started, okay? So from all of this, these 4 sentences, do you think these auxiliary verbs and prepositions, do you think they are in the strong form or the weak form? Or to be more precise, the question wants us to find out which ones are the weak forms. Let's just underline them and see if we can get them. What do you think? So here we have 4. Do you think it's
4? It was strong.
okay? So if it's strong, we underline.
Of, it wasn't. It was weak. Of.
Okay, so of was weak.
Part of life, even weak. Not. And not being able. I don't know. And I think it was.
Was it in the strong form or the weak form?
I think it was strong.
Okay, so we'll leave it.
Able to get to sleep.
Don't forget the twos, because twos also can be.
It was clear. It was strong.
Able to get to sleep here. This one you think it's strong. Okay, so if it's strong, we're not going to circle it if it's strong. Okay, any other words? Just the of? You think the ofs were weak and the rest not weak?
It can also it was weak.
It? But it, I don't think we can. It's the same usually.
Yeah. So for the can.
Maybe can.
Yeah.
Okay, let's check this from the beginning of the track.
So, how much sleep do you think people are getting these days?
Track 13.
How many people do you know who have trouble sleeping at night? For many of us, insomnia is part of life, and not being able to get to sleep isn't just annoying, it can also be very dangerous.
Yes.
Okay, I think we can confirm this by going to the script. This is the only way we can confirm. And
it's all of them were clear, were strong.
All of them were strong. Okay, do you see this exercise here? CD1, track 13.
Yeah.
So the pink ones are weak forms.
Weak?
Yes.
So
all of them were in the weak form.
So I had the wrong idea, because my idea was that when you hear the word clearly, so it would be strong.
No, the idea with strong and weak is there stress or not? Because in this sentence, the speaker, when he started, he said, how many people do you know? He didn't say how many people do you know. Do you get the idea? There's no stress on. He doesn't say it separately, like how many people do you. He just says it very quickly together. How many people do you know who have trouble sleeping at night? So it's not at night, at night.
So all of them are.
Yes, all of them were weak. Of course, like I said, these exercises are not super important, but they just want you to get used to the idea that these words, the way you hear a native using them and the way we use them are quite different, because we don't say we say of, we don't say an, we say and, we don't say can, we say can. So they just want you to always remember that this is not how they use them in real sentences. In real sentences, they're almost always weak, and that's why your answer in number 5A was correct when you said we usually use them in the weak form. This is exactly the point of this exercise, that we usually use them in the weak form. Maybe in the class we use them in the strong form, so the student knows what these words are, but in the sentence, no. All right, so that's all we need to know, I think, for about weak forms and strong forms. Okay, let's move on to reading, vocab, and speaking. All right, so number 6A, it says here, think of at least 5 things people can do to help them get to sleep. Okay, what do you do now when you want to go to sleep, or you know that the next day is a full day and you need to sleep well tonight, so tomorrow you will be active and awake. What do you do to help yourself go to sleep? Hello, are you there? I think you disconnected.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think maybe the same will happen soon to us.
Mama, yeah.
Okay, so my question before you disconnected was, think of 5 ways or 5 things that can help people get to sleep or help people fall asleep. What do you think 5 good or 5 successful methods to help people fall asleep?
Well, the first thing when people get up early, they maybe they can fall asleep easily.
So waking up early. This is one advice or one thing that might help, okay?
Yeah.
Another thing?
The other thing, turn off all the lights in your bedroom.
Okay, turning off the lights.
Yeah. Keep their phone and electronic devices away from bed.
So we have 3 now.
Read a book.
Reading?
Yeah, reading. It may help. And for the 5 thing, I think drink something hot or something can enhance your ability to sleep.
Like drugs or alcohol?
I haven't tried. I can't tell.
I'm joking. Actually, this is bad advice. Most doctors, because people think that alcohol helps them go to sleep, and most doctors say no. It might help you fall asleep, but after that, it affects your natural sleep cycle. So it's actually bad. It's not good for sleep. Anyways, I agree with your advice. I also something warm, drink something warm, like maybe warm milk, maybe hot chocolate, not a very good idea, because hot chocolate also is a stimulant.
Activate your brain.
Yeah, it's like light coffee. Maybe it's not a good idea. All right, so these are, I think, reasonable suggestions, what you said. Let's see the article, and let's see what they tell us here. So they want us to read the article. Why does Kevin have insomnia? So we have Kevin in the story, and Kevin has insomnia. What has he tried to do to get a good night's sleep? So this is the only question we want to answer first now, in part B here. So what did he try to do to fall asleep? Okay, let's see. Let's read about Kevin. Do I need to zoom out, or you have your book in front of you?
I have my book.
Okay, so I don't need to zoom out. So you can read this article and then tell me just this answer, just this question. I mean, what did he try to help him sleep?
Okay.
ماما هي أنت بتكملي.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have tried nearly everything to cure his insomnia, but nothing works for long. Bye, اسكت امشي. Started going to the gym. Didn't work. More exhausted. Have a fairly healthy diet, and I don't drink coffee after 4 p.m. anymore. I've tried relaxation CDs, hypnosis, my support group. I don't know, what's the meaning of hypnosis?
Hypnosis. Hypnosis is, you know, when you go to a psychiatrist, this is an old technique. And they
تنويم مغناطيسي.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, got it now. Online support groups. I even bought a new bed. He actually did everything.
Except pills, except sleeping pills.
Except pills. Yeah.
That's
but
true.
not taking pills.
Yeah. He tried almost everything. All right, okay. Now I think we can move on to the more detailed questions, and let's see. Okay, so the first question, it asks, how much sleep did Kevin get last night?
Okay, last night.
Mhm.
Exhausted when I went to bed at, he went to bed at 11 and was fast asleep by 11 half, but then actually maybe 3 hours and a half.
That's correct.
Yeah.
3 hours and a half, but if you read the rest of the paragraph, he also got a little more after that.
Yeah, soon I was wide awake and it was impossible to get back to sleep. Sometimes and I'm depressed and he read a book, answered some emails, and finally got back to sleep at 5:30 till 7.
So that's another hour and a half, right?
Hour and a half. 5 hours.
5 hours. It's not too bad, actually.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I think the bad thing is the interruption.
Yes. The nightmare that woke him up.
Yeah.
Maybe because
I'm sleeping. This is the bad thing.
Yeah, because he said that he was getting married and he bought a flat, so maybe that's why he's having the nightmare. Maybe they're related, the two events.
Maybe.
Okay. So number 2, what happens on a typical night? So in Kevin's life, in a typical night, what happens to him?
He have had insomnia for so long.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the way he described the last night or the night that we read about, he said that this is a typical night for me, right?
Yeah.
So if the night we read about, which is fall asleep at 8:30, wake up again at 3, go back to sleep, fall asleep again at 5:30. So a typical night means, how would we talk about a typical night in your words? How would you describe a typical night for Kevin?
Typical night. يعني typical night هذا كل ليلة هيك typical night يعني.
This is the idea exactly. When we say he said
his usual night.
This is his usual. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we want to answer this question, which is what is a typical night, or what happens on a typical night in Kevin's life, we would say he falls asleep, then he wakes up in the middle of the night, maybe after a nightmare. He falls asleep again just before work, right?
Yeah.
So you can call it an interrupted sleep. This is typical for him. But now number 3, when does he sleep well? Is there any time he sleeps well?
On holidays.
Correct.
Yeah.
And what does he
get his good night's sleep when he's on holiday?
That's right. And what about what's so stressful about his job? Why is his job stressful?
his, because he's a website designer and have to meet deadlines every week.
Yeah, so he,
so that makes his work is very stressful.
yeah, the problem with deadlines. This is why it's so
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah.
Okay, and which cure for, I think we answered number 5, which cure for insomnia hasn't he tried?
Taking pills.
Yeah, sleeping pills, right. Why not? Why doesn't he?
He was really terrified of becoming addicted to them.
Do you think it's common to become addicted to sleeping pills?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a related problem. It's side effects of the of using sleeping pills, and
I agree. Yes, that's true.
yeah, such a group of drugs.
All right. Okay. So let's move on to vocab. Now we're going to look at the words in the article which are in pink. Okay. So these words in pink are all strong adjectives. Okay. Now we want to put them in front of their cousins, in front of their, or maybe in front of their children. So in front of the gradable adjectives. So always think of a strong adjective like a very plus gradable adjective. To get the idea.
Yeah.
So let's start with exhausted.
Exhausted. It's against tired.
Okay, correct. I agree. So exhausted is with tired. What about terrible?
Terrible. Maybe in front of bad.
I agree also, yes. It means very bad, right? Impossible?
Impossible, difficult.
Yeah, so it's like very difficult, right? What about awful?
Awful. Also with bad.
I think that's right. Amazed?
Awful. Amazed, surprised.
Right. Shattered?
Shattered.
What does shattered mean? Not as an adjective, but how can you use it in a sentence other than the example here? Because here he said, I always feel really shattered. But can we use it in another way?
Shattered, confused, or cannot focus. I'm not sure, but I think so.
Sort of close, yeah. Okay, but in this list, in the gradable adjectives, which of these is the best one for shattered? Good, bad, tired, big, difficult, frightened, or surprised? And if we check the context of the sentence, I think we need to check the context. By the way, this is very important because now you're in intermediate, so there's a big chance you'll run into new words. So the best way to guess a new word is from the sentence. Just read what's before it and what's after it, and usually you'll get it right away. So that's a typical night for me. I've had insomnia for so long. I'm amazed if I ever sleep through the night, and by the end of the week, I always feel really shattered.
Really shattered, maybe tired.
Correct.
Very tired.
You're right. It means very tired. Yes, this is the meaning in context. Because so much insomnia for so many days. At the end of the week, he's just so tired. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Okay, very good. So we have shattered, fantastic.
Big, huge.
Yeah, I agree. Fantastic, something big. Correct.
Frightened.
Just a second. Just a second. Do you think it's big? I think it's another one. It's not big.
No.
Huge.
No, I mean fantastic. It's
Fantastic.
yeah.
No, fantastic. Not in front of fantastic with good.
Right. That's right. Yes. It's with good. Yes. Very good. Fantastic. Okay.
Fantastic.
Then we have brilliant is already answered as an example. Now we have huge. Huge, I think you answered it now.
Yeah, huge, big,
Correct.
very big.
You're right. The last one is terrified.
Yeah, frightened,
That's right.
very frightened.
Mm-hmm. Correct, correct. Okay, so this was our first table. Now we have another group. It's the same idea. On the left side, we have the gradable adjectives. So on the left side are the normal adjectives, the ones where we can use very, very tasty, very small, very cold. And on the right side, we have the strong adjectives, where we can't use very. So we just want to match them according to their meaning. The ones which fit together or have the same meaning, we want to match them. You could start.
Okay. Tasty, delicious.
Right.
Tasty, delicious. Small, tiny. Cold, freezing.
Right.
Hot, boiling. Beautiful, gorgeous.
Right.
Big, enormous.
Enormous, right.
Yeah. Interested. Interested. Okay. Happy, delighted.
Correct.
Angry, furious.
Correct.
Interested, fascinated.
Correct.
So, filthy, dirty.
Correct. Yes. Okay, that's correct. Now, the next part of the exercise, this is a new one, and it's also a bit interesting. Here, this is, by the way, this exercise is also important later in IELTS writing. I'll tell you why. Now, they want you to look at the blue adverbs. Okay, so the exercise says, look at the blue, the adverbs in blue. Which of these adjectives do we use with? Do we use them with gradable adjectives, or do we use them with strong adjectives? Okay. And which adverb do we use with both? Okay, this means you need to find this out from the article. You need to check the blue adverbs. Let's read them first, the blue adverbs. So we have extremely, really, absolutely, incredibly, and yeah.
Extremely with the gradable.
Okay, so yes, it's answered. So extremely with gradable.
Extremely depressed, because really shattered, and you can say really good. So with both, I think.
Okay.
Really.
So maybe you can use it for both. Let's write B for both.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right. Maybe for both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, I guess here is with strong
Okay.
adjective, but we can use it with both, I guess.
You think? Can we say absolutely good? Absolutely big?
No. Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely with strong.
All right.
Strong. It's incredibly difficult with gradable.
Okay.
Incredibly gradable. G. Very with gradable. Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
Fairly healthy. Fairly healthy. I guess with gradable. Fairly.
Okay. Okay, so we can check this part. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if all of these are right or not. The first part, A and B, were correct, definitely. But this one, let's check. 130. Let's see how many of these we got right. So let's go to 130. Here we are. Okay, so 2.4. So you can see at the bottom. Can you see the bottom part?
Yeah.
On the bottom
Yeah,
left?
we can use the adverbs fairly, very, extremely, and incredibly with gradable adjectives, but not with strong adjectives.
So you can say fairly good, but you can't say fairly fantastic. It doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, incredibly. Yeah.
Mommy.
Fairly is less strong than very.
Okay, let's go.
Incredibly and extremely are stronger than very. Okay.
No.
Absolutely with the strong adjectives, but not credible. We can use really with both. Yeah. All our answers were true. Were
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Were correct.
That's true.
Yeah.
The answers were correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So here, I think also what's important is the difference between fairly, very, extremely, the intensity of each adverb, how strong each adverb is, right? Because when you say fairly is a bit like saying quite. So when you say quite hot or fairly hot, it's less than saying very, because when you say very, it usually means it's stronger. These are of course important, but like I said, in IELTS we only need the formal ones. So so they're useful, these. Okay, so we got this part correctly. Okay, I think we can fit this last exercise. We still have a little bit of time. Can you do number 8? Now with number 8, what you need to do is you need to use one of the blue adverbs. So the blue adverbs that you have in the box here, the ones we were talking about: extremely, really, really, absolutely, incredibly, very, fairly. We want to use them to fill these 8 sentences. Okay, can you try? And of course, there's more than one answer in many of them.
Okay. I'm usually absolutely exhausted.
Okay. After what?
Or really exhausted.
Can you say absolutely exhausted?
After, should I say after what?
Depending on what's true for you. For example, I feel really exhausted after intermediate lessons online.
Why not?
Okay, I'm just joking. Just use. Of course, here you can do it in whatever way you want. Yes, but as long as the adverb works, that's good.
Yeah, I'm usually really exhausted after doing exercise.
Okay, it makes sense.
It's very difficult for me to speak German.
All right.
Very. I was absolutely delighted when I saw my old friend.
Okay, good.
I've got I've got an incredibly beautiful car.
Nice.
I think it's
You have to say
It's-
something is
yeah, I think it's really delicious.
okay. Mhm.
Or I think the meal is really delicious. Interested in. I'm fairly interested in studying history.
Okay, that works.
I was extremely angry when when I saw people fighting each other.
Okay.
I think it was absolutely brilliant idea.
I think it was an absolutely brilliant idea.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's
it.
correct. Yeah. I think this is a very nice lesson. This exercise,
Yeah.
number 7, because it's very, very useful for your vocab in speaking and in writing in the future. So this is good.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in what you think of the same exercises in the workbook. I think they're not going to be too difficult, but I think I can find more extra work like this. Maybe a little. If you're interested, maybe I'll leave you some extra homework. Something like this, but a bit harder, like a challenge. But of course, you're free to do it or leave it. It's up to you. But you can just check it. You can just check it and see how it is.
Okay, that looks very interesting. Very interesting.
And remember, we still have an extra half hour. So next lesson, maybe Saturday. If it's okay with you, we can have a longer lesson to make up for the missing time from today. I think our next lesson is Saturday, right?
Okay.
So we'll see about that. And also, if you're free on Friday, please join. You're free to join the conversation. Conversation 2, if you're free, of course.
I will try. Yeah. Because I'm really
at 7.
I'm really interested in joining such a conversation courses, but I'll try to manage. I'll try to make it.
Okay then. Okay. So you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Okay. Don't forget about extra exercise.
Yes, I'll do my best to remember it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay then. You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Check, I'm